I think the Miami Dolphins just scored another touchdown. We're breaking down our top takeaways from week 3 today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On 70ers. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate you all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Joe, do me a favor and send the promo code to Sean Payton because he's probably looking to fill that defensive coordinator spot.
Oh, man. Oh, Vance Joseph, huh? Oh, Vance Joseph.
Well, surprise, surprise. That's
not having the time of his life. I don't feel like he is.
Vance been that way since 2016 in Miami. I digress. A warm welcome to all of the Swifties who are joining the show for the first time because they're now football fans because of the ongoing story with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Like, yeah. What a Bill Belichick had a comment on that on the radio this morning. I am floored. I am absolutely floored.
It's worlds colliding, right? It's the Taylor Swift from a pop culture standpoint is here, and from the NFL, like, is king in sports is here, and those two worlds colliding, and nobody knows what to do about it. And I promise this will probably be the only time you hear about it on our show. But if there are any Swifties who are getting into football and interested in the programming, well,
Kyle, I have watched the Citadel play a more competitive game against Alabama during Alabama's undefeated national championship seasons than I've seen the Denver Broncos play against the Miami Dolphins. And we have to talk about this. A 70 burger. Kyle, it doesn't happen in the NFL. Not in this day and age. Like, maybe there was a couple times in the 40s and 50s where they got to 70 points. But not
1940 and 1966 were the two occasions in which
so not in the Super Bowl era or even close to it. 70 points. Like, yeah. Okay, talk to us. I mean, I know it's speed and leverage with this offense. I know that they got good players, a good scheme, but come on, 70 points.
And
what was this rushing output? 300 yards in the National Football League?
My favorite statistic from the game is Devon Achane ran for more yards in the game on 18 carries than any Miami Dolphins running back ran for their cumulative season total during the team's first year of the rebuild in 2019.
Okay, so the 2019 Dolphins catching strays, which was what was like Mark Walton had like 201 yards. That was the
201 yards in 4 games before he got suspended.
Fitz led the team in practice.
Fitz led the team in rushing with 243 rushing yards. Yeah.
Devon Achane, 18 carries, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, 13 carries, 82 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chris Brooks, 9 carries for 66 yards. This is like USC with Lendell White and Reggie Bush and some up-and-coming star against, Quaker State.
Well, just explosive plays is the name of the game, right? And that's how you score 70 points in an NFL game, because Robbie Chosen with Mike White in the game scores a 68-yard touchdown. Tyreek Hill on the third play from scrimmage offensively goes for 54.
Might want to cover that guy.
You somehow all we heard was PS2 is going to follow Tyreek Hill around. The third play of the game, Miami gets Damari Mathis on Tyreek Hill, and Surtain is on the other side of the field, covering Robbie Chosen, and then the safety drives on the sit route, and Tyreek blows through it on the back end, and just wide open. So you had 2 50-plus yard passing touchdowns. You had at least 2 50-yard two 50-plus yard runs with Brooks for 52, and I don't even think they scored on that possession. I think that was the last possession of the game where they just ran out the clock.
Took the knees at the end or whatever.
Yeah. Achane You get 2 turnovers that set you up inside the 20-yard line with the batted ball that Emmanuel Ogbah intercepted, and the first punch out of Cortland Sutton that Andrew Van Ginkel picks up and runs back to the 3-yard line, like just before the half. So that's the recipe, right? The highs are never as high as they feel. The lows are never as low as they feel. But this is probably a game in which it's as close as it feels to the highs being as high and the lows being as low for a team in Miami that has big-time aspirations, and then a team like Denver who, look, they've spent 3 first-round picks on Russell Wilson and Sean Payton.
Yeah, between their draft capital and what it's yielded them and the contracts they've handed out and what that's yielded them, it's just a fundamentally flawed operation.
Yeah, they're going to have their hands full, Denver. I think that was the biggest thing that stood out to me was there's some talent. I think the receiving talent has potential to work. It's hard to run the ball with consistency when you have one punt and you force one punt in the game. You have 2 turnovers in your own scoring area. So the game script didn't go particularly well, but you look at them, Miami just beat them up on the edges, Joe. I mean, Alec Ingold, these tight ends, Tron Armstead came back. They absolutely demolished Denver on the edges offensively in the run game.
Randy Gregory, Nick Bonito, small, lean edge rushers.
And that's not even including
Cooper.
Jonathan Cooper, who's a smaller, undersized player, got, I think, underdrafted because he's an undersized player. And Baron Browning, who's not playing right now because he's hurt. So Frank Clark didn't play. Like, Frank Clark's your big body defensive end. I promise you it's not the difference between you conceding 24 points and 70 points.
Yeah, Denver 70 to Miami, 35 to Washington the week before.
Yeah. How Washington look against Buffalo this week?
You know, we're talking about the Dolphins and their 70-point outpour, but yeah, I can't believe that offense would score 35 points in a game. Okay, let me ask you this question and phrase it like this. Probably not that many people watched the Dolphins score 70 points, right? It was a 1:00 game.
I did.
But everybody's aware that they scored 70 points. Like, how do you break it down into a very simple, like, I know you mentioned, okay, the explosive plays, they won the edges. What else? Like, what's the things that people need to know about the Dolphins offense coming out of this game and how it moves forward?
The offense is built on complementary elements in every aspect of the offense. So you have speed at wide receiver. Jalen Waddle didn't play. You still have speed at wide receiver. You have Tyreek Hill. This being a timing-oriented offense means you have to anticipate routes and throws before they're made. But off the Shanahan tree, there are adjustments to routes based on defensive leverage, right? So you have to really win reps against pass coverage early. So you can't be afraid to get physical with these guys at the line of scrimmage. But all the pre-snap motion makes it so difficult.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a multiplying complementary factor. Then you say, okay, we're going to play quarters. We're going to play cover 2. Well, now you've got a zone rushing offense and you've got a really physical interior trio on the offensive line. And Raheem Mostert added 10 pounds of muscle this offseason, and he pounded Denver. So now you have to worry about getting the edge. And now you have to worry about the box count if you're going to take that away. And then Tua has his complementary elements are also complementary of that. And then Mike McDaniel. So you have to pick your poison. And it felt like Denver didn't pick anything. And as a result, everything worked against them. They didn't choose to be physical at the line of scrimmage against the receivers. They didn't choose to load the box. They didn't choose to play soft cover. It was just like, we don't really know. We don't really know.
At least Belichick chose something.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they held the Dolphins to 24 points and had a chance to win the football game.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, if you hold the Miami to 24, you got a chance, right? Got a chance.
Correct. So I think I don't want to get on a whole other soapbox here. And I think it was Aaron Schatz that had the observation of this. And I like Aaron Schatz. I think he does good work. But he said that the MVP conversation with Tua is going to be really complicated because You look at him versus the supporting cast around him and the offensive play callers. And it's like, was anybody making excuses for why Steve Young shouldn't win the MVP in San Francisco when he was at the quarterback of like a record-setting offense because he had Jerry Rice and all of the infrastructure there? Was anybody holding on to Peyton Manning throwing 28 interceptions and saying, well, he's got Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison, so like he doesn't have a legitimate argument for the MVP? Or is anybody saying, well, Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick and a game manager, and he has Randy Moss and the greatest coach of all time, so he should win the MVP? And like you just go down the list of like this is why you build a team, is to put a player in position. And like if we get to the end of the rainbow and Tua plays the season and he stays on the pace that he's on, just admit you're wrong. Just admit that you were wrong. And I was skeptical of Tua when Brian Flores was the head coach because you're trying to filter through all of the layers to figure out why it's not working and what the problem is. I think we know what the problem was with the Miami Dolphins in 2020 and 2021 when Tua Tagovailoa was the quarterback with Brian Flores as head coach.
Yeah, I didn't see that from Aaron. And I think one of the silliest things that people do is try to diminish wins, try to diminish production. If it sustains itself, then it's real. And if it sustains itself, Tua is going to be the MVP. It won't be close. So obviously huge outputs, 70 points. I don't know who they play next week. Well, that'll be interesting to find whenever I check the schedule. Be curious to see how that team does against them.
Hope it's a good game.
Yeah, hope everybody has fun. All right, we got more to talk about. Obviously, the Dolphins, 70 points. We had to get into that first. That's not on Kyle. That's on me. I wanted to talk about Miami. So,
I pushed back. I pushed back.
Yeah, maybe.
I was like,
maybe you pushed back a little more than Denver's defense, but maybe not that much. But all right, these days, every new potential hire feels like a high-stake wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's so easy to create a free job post over at LinkedIn Jobs, and then once you do, add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
What in the world happened to the Dallas Cowboys?
You texted me about my pick for #1 in the NFC, and Dallas responded and let you know that they are not the best team in the NFC.
Hey, by the way, how do you think we did with picks?
I have no idea, but I figured you would.
Scouting against the spread.
I hope we did well. If you bring it up, it usually means that we did well, and we had the same picks this week. So
yeah, we are both sitting at 9-5 going into the Monday Night Football games in
double headers,
straight up pick 'em. And NFL scouting against the spread went 10-4.
All right, money was made. I like that. I like that.
After a push break even week 1 and a 7-9 record in week 2, we adjusted the algo a little bit. We went 10-4 against the spread.
I like it.
Very good stuff.
Okay, Dallas Cowboys, they lost by 2 scores against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, a team that we are not taking seriously, thought they were one of the most lowly teams in the league, devoid of talent. Dallas Cowboys, one of the hottest teams through 2 games, 28-16. I don't even think there was that many turnovers in this game.
Dak just threw the pick in the end zone.
Is that it? That was it on the last play.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday.
Was this the gut punch of losing Trayvon Diggs?
Maybe.
Like, did this team feel that? I have a really hard time.
They have 222 rushing yards to the Cardinals.
I know. So I guess let's ask ourselves this. I think long-term Dallas is still going to be about the team that we thought they'd be, right? You lose a game you're not supposed to. You'll win a game at some point that you're probably not supposed to. And law of averages, just ask the Vikings about law of averages, 1-score games. But Arizona, What's this look like for them? What are you taking away from 400 yards of offense and 222 rushing yards against Dallas?
I think it's bigger than that, right? So they get their win. I mean, they're leading in the fourth quarter against Washington in week 1.
Yep.
And obviously they had last week
20-0 halftime lead over New York Giants.
They got a jab, right? They've got a little punch to them. And they deserve credit, right? I mean, we clowned this team all off season long. They've been far more competitive than I ever thought they would be, and they just beat the Dallas Cowboys, who were one of the hottest teams in the league entering the game. And so, yeah, they deserve credit. And I don't know, like in a very different way, I'm sure Arizona's thinking, well, shoot, maybe we could play a little bit.
Yeah, now the Kyler Murray conversation. When's Kyler ready to come back?
Right.
Be kind of interesting. Now you're at San Francisco next week, so that's not great. And then you have Cincinnati. And then you're at LA Rams and at Seattle Seahawks before you're home against the Baltimore Ravens. So I don't think they're going to stack too many here. Now they have other winnable games on the schedule between the Houston Texans. Now Houston looked good in week 3 against Jacksonville in a wild, wacky, weird, positive outcome for them. They play the Bears. So I think the long assumed Arizona Caleb Williams connection, this is a domino that I think puts that very much in question.
Because they have Houston's first rounder, right? And their own.
They already have Houston's first rounder and their own.
Well, maybe both Houston and Arizona are going to be better than we think.
And then they play Chicago Bears late in the season on Christmas Eve. So I think it's a seismic ripple on each end of the spectrum in the NFC. Because I don't think you can say that the Bears are a better team than the Arizona Cardinals right now.
No. I think there's probably some truth to the Diggs stuff. I think this team took a hit during the week and carried over, right? Like, and I think that's part of, we get very cliche with next man up and all that type of stuff, but like there's a practical application to that. And like you and I talk together all the time, like nobody cares about your problems, right?
Right.
The Cowboys didn't enter this game with extra points because they lost Trayvon Diggs. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that the Dolphins didn't have Jalen Waddle. Nobody cares that the Denver Broncos didn't have Justin Simmons, right? The score is what the score is, right? You got to play. And if that's a contributing factor to Dallas losing this game, that's a question that I would have for the leadership of that football team.
So just to follow that up, the Cowboys, the first 2 weeks, played the Giants and the Jets. They conceded 10 points. They conceded 26 first downs. They conceded 386 yards of offense, and they had 7 turnovers. They play the Cardinals, who are less talented than both of those teams, and gave up 28 points, 20 first downs, 400 yards, so more yards, almost as many first downs, almost 3 times as many points, and did not log a single turnover. I think this is very much a manifestation of the human element of the game of football that was realized for the Dallas Cowboys in week 3.
Now, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, what a week for you, right? You get to play tonight. You win that game tonight, and on Sunday and Thursday, you watch the Commanders fall to 2-1.
Yep.
The Cowboys fall to 2-1.
Yep.
And of course, the Giants get a loss.
On Thursday. Yep.
Yeah, you win tonight and you're Philly. I mean, that's the ultimate weekend, right? That's as good as it can be, especially with Dallas losing to Arizona and the Commanders being humbled.
Right. Joe, we are, speaking of that Tampa-Philadelphia game, we're going to be down to 4 undefeateds by week 3.
Yeah,
parity in the NFL is real.
You had this thought last week about there not being that many 2-0 teams, and it dwindled down a little.
Yep.
And then here it comes. Right, it's a good reminder. It's a week-to-week league. There's no transitive property in football, and humility in the NFL is only a week away. Right.
So whether you won or lost by 50 in week 1, leave it, or last week, leave it there because you can't bring it with you.
I'm thankful you can't bring any of those points with you next Sunday. Jeez.
Hopefully, we keep file a petition to Goodell for 1 week.
Yeah, carry over like
49. We can bring over 49 points.
What I texted you about it yesterday, and you made a good point. You're like, I can't produce these results in rookie mode on Madden.
The only time I've seen numbers like that in NFL.
Well, because they haven't happened. There's no other time to have seen them unless you're alive with the Chicago Cardinals in 1940.
Right. And who did they played the? I'll have to look up who the team that they played was, but it was like a baseball name. It's like the Yanks. The Brooklyn Yanks was the team that was.
What are they up to these days? Over there getting warehouse workers to play football. I mean, really, that was a lot of their stuff was just tryouts and putting guys on the field. But modern NFL, I know we've moved past it, but I don't know. That's going to live in my head all week, sir. Sean McDermott right after the game was asked, he's like, "Hey, this is your 100th game as head coach of the Bills." He's like, "Yeah, that's cool. The Dolphins scored 70 points. They got a long week." Come on,
man. I'm sorry. The league's better when both of our teams are good.
Well,
we'll not apologize for feeling that way.
It's been a minute. It's been a
long time since that's in the case. So it's a lot of fun. Now we have Bears down bad. Speaking of teams that haven't been good in a while, and then we also have some coaching follies that have to be acknowledged.
Ooh, I used to watch Football Follies. Wasn't that on
Follies? Yes,
brother, I wasn't missing that. Whenever that came on back in the day, I was young growing up. All right, you know what else I'm not missing is DoorDash because I love the convenience of getting what I want delivered right to my front door. And with DoorDash grocery, I can stock up for the week, or I can get those last-minute cravings conveniently. You know, you've trusted DoorDash for years to deliver your restaurant favorites, and now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. And folks, you get exactly what you ordered every single time, or they will make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them out for yourself. We got a deal for you. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order, up to $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout. Limited time offer, terms do apply. That's 50% off, up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKEDONNFL. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDONNFL for 50% off your first order with DoorDash.
Chicago, bear down.
Literally.
Who's resigning this week for this team?
What? Okay, so this is a bad week for the Bears, right? You start with the Fields Getsy comments.
Monday, horrible.
Helen Williams raiding his house, resigning as a defensive coordinator. Then, didn't they get tons of equipment stolen from them?
Six figures worth of equipment stolen from the facility, all in a stretch of a work week. And then you go out lose. And you get blasted by the Chiefs, 34-0 at halftime.
It's a bad operation, Kyle. And it's not getting better. There's no growth. And our expectations were pretty modest for Chicago.
But we did not see them as a 10-win football team. I'll just say that.
No, but when's the last time they even lost by one score? They get blown out every week, dude. These are close games.
This is 13 straight losses for Chicago. Going back,
I'm trying to find their last one-score loss, Kyle. It's 27-24 against the Falcons, November 20th. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 consecutive two-score losses at least by the Bears.
On the lexicon of all-time bad coaches, how high up the list is Eberflus going to be by the time they choose to move on? He's currently 3-17 as a head coach in the NFL.
What was Hugh Jackson, 2-30 something like that?
He's going to flirt with that stratosphere because they're Denver and Washington the next 2 weeks. Okay. I don't believe you're going to win either football game, but at least you can look at how Washington played against Buffalo after they played other teams that were kind of in their tier as a football team and won those. You can look at Denver. By the way, Chicago has a worse point differential on the season than the Denver Broncos do after Denver just lost by 50 points yesterday. case in point, non-competitive football games. Minnesota, Las Vegas, the Chargers, the Saints, the Panthers, at Detroit, at Minnesota. I have no reason to believe that they're going to win. I won't go into week expecting Chicago to win any game that they play.
They're home against Denver next week.
Yep.
I mean, that might be the best chance.
Denver's a comfortably more talented football team. And you'd like to think Sean Payton gets the tie for poorly coached teams in spite of how poorly they played yesterday.
Just a massive discrepancy between what some people perceive with this Bears football team. I know they have a couple injuries on the offensive line, but like, we're not improving.
I got it. How many times under the 20 games that Matt Eberflus has been the head coach of this football team have the Chicago Bears had more than 200 yards of offense passing?
Yeah, probably not many times.
How many?
3.
1. 1 game in 20 tries, and that was against Green Bay, Week 13, December 4th last year. 254 yards passing offense. Now, what I don't get is when you were able to really capture lightning in a bottle when you were Chicago last year, it was that stretch of Washington, New England, Dallas, Miami, Detroit. You rushed for over 1,000 yards in those 5 games combined. In like consecutive week, you had a month where you rushed for 1,000 yards as an offense. Where is it?
And that was the thing they could do, right? And you feel like the running back situation is better.
Saying, "Oh, we're going to become something totally different and abandon." Like, where is the creative quarterback run scheme? Where is using Justin Fields' strengths to create a unique challenge on how to defend you? And instead, it's become we're going to try to be just like everybody else, and you're going to put a square peg in a round hole. Now, I don't envy Justin Fields. No, we just got done having this conversation about clinging to your priors and Tua Tagovailoa, trying to compartmentalize what's his problem versus what's the coaching staff's problem. Like, and the fact that the reality is it's probably a mix of all of them, right? But
Greg Roman, what are you doing? Greg needs you in Chicago right away.
No, but somewhere else. Get this man away from Chicago. Not that I feel like Justin Fields is destined to have success at this point. You're worried about the damage being done. But it's just wild to me that everything that you found that was good last year, you let go of over the offseason.
11 of 22, 99 yards. Justin Fields is going to do it his way this week. 11 for 47 rushing the ball. Under 150 total yards from your quarterback in a game where you lost by 31.
Right. And you had a 34-0 halftime deficit where you very easily you'd have got the softest cover.
Where are the garbage stats, right?
Yeah, where you can't even pad garbage time.
Blaine Gabbert comes in and throws 2 picks.
And then on the scale of bad coaching, it still might not be as bad as going for it on 4th down, up 4 points in the final moments from your own 24-yard line, saying, well, we'll go for it. I trust our quarterback. We got Justin Herbert. And then you run the ball when you have 30 yards of rushing offense all day long and turning it over on downs to Minnesota and giving them every opportunity to win a football game that they ultimately did not. But process versus results, I think that decision from Brandon Staley might be the worst coaching that we saw in week 3.
Especially when you consider 11 of those 30 rushing yards came from Justin Herbert. So from running backs, Josh Kelly and Isaiah Spiller, you had 13 carries for 19 yards. Meanwhile, Herbert can't throw an incompletion. He's 40 of 47 for 405 yards.
4th down, game on the line, franchise quarterback, $50 million player, hand the ball off.
Also, just punt the ball.
Or just punt the ball and force them to go the full length of the field, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, like, they didn't have time.
Correct.
To do that. They needed a touchdown. So between that and McDaniel's, McDaniel said, "Hold my beer." Sunday Night Football.
We're down 8. We kicked the field goal because we need multiple possessions anyway. There's overtime, right?
Dude.
You can be tied at the end of regulation and then play more football and get more possessions. What's worse, that or the Notre Dame?
Oh boy,
10 men on defense for the last 2 plays of the game because we didn't have time to run them out there and we couldn't afford a penalty from the 1-yard line.
Okay, so within this whole Raider story, they scored a touchdown and 2-point conversion on their previous offensive possession.
Correct. So they just did the 8-point thing. And they need 8 points to tie the game, and they kicked 3 because we needed multiple possessions, was the explanation.
I saw a tweet out there that Josh McDaniels must have Daniel Carlson on his fantasy team. What else makes sense? But also, yes, Marcus Freeman, come on, bro. Took his headset off.
So you run you come out of the timeout with 10 men on, and you realize you have 10 men on, right? Hey, little Johnny, come here. Stand on the 20, and as soon as the play is over, sprint. If you're not going to make it, touch an offensive player. So it's not a free play.
Would it be way better? Way better than what happened.
Then, we're just going to ride with 10 for the last 2 plays and hope that they don't see it and don't choose to run to the uncontested A through C gap.
Can't happen. Can't happen. Cannot happen.
A weird week of coaching. By the way, that Josh Kelly, to your point, that Josh Kelly run was with 1:51 left on the clock from the 24-yard line.
They got off the hook, though, for that. Can you believe it?
No.
That might have sunk the ship completely. If they lose that game, fall to 0-3, and Minnesota scores a touchdown.
Does Brandon Staley make it home?
Probably shouldn't.
0-3?
Kellen Moore, what's up, buddy? You're now the head coach.
You're getting those head coaching interviews. Here you go.
Here it is, man. Please, God, save us.
Wild week 3, Joe.
There's obviously a lot more that happened this week, and that's what I'm excited about. The next couple of days, we have the power rankings, so we're going to talk about all the teams. But as we consider what the big storylines were, this is where it landed.
This was kind of the centerpiece, and we got 2 games tonight. Oh, we have to make a formal decision on
how are we supposed to? We don't even know if Burrow's playing,
in spite of having no idea. And Jonathan Jones of CBS saying yesterday, Joe Burrow might not only not play in week 3, he might go on IR.
I mean, hey, you got it. Zach Taylor is giving Bill Belichick couldn't be more proud of Zach Taylor. That's all I'll say for the ambiguity of the severity of the injury, whether he's going to play, not play. Joe Burrow's on a golf cart with Mike Brown, the owner of the franchise, during a practice, doing laps. I mean, come on, man. Weird. Weird is an understatement.
So we will say if Joe Burrow plays, we'll probably pick the Bengals. If Joe Burrow does not play, we'll pick the Rams.
Yeah, I guess so.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Just so we have something on the record for the game.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find out. I know Joe Burrow's supposed to have a workout this morning. We shall see, and we shall see all of you tomorrow. We're doing AFC Conference Power Rankings. We are looking forward to it. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino, we are Locked On NFL Scouting. Appreciate you guys checking out the show. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Make it a great rest of your day. We're out of here. Peace.